Hello, ladies. Once again on the Feminine Confidence Conference, I'm your host, Simeon Little, and today we have Linda Maria Ramos. Date of birth, 3/7/2008. A recent Central High School graduate. During her time at Central, she was a prominent member of the MCJROTC and Miss Volunteer of over 1,500 hours of community service spanning over the last 4 years. These organizations include Helping Hands, Central M, CJROTC, First Baptist Youth Pageland, Elementary, the Sound of Central, and the Teacher Cadet Program. She was a dual enrollment student via NETC and became a teacher cadet her senior year. She was accepted to Dartmouth University and will study pre-law upon completing basic training. She believes in the power of giving back and has continued her commitment to service post graduation. She's currently in the delayed entry program and waiting to ship out to the United States Marine Corps on August 4th, 2026 for singles intelligence and will be transitioning to the Judge Advocate General program during her second enlistment. Shortly after military career, she will be returning to the education system to serve the mind to serve the minds of tomorrow. A life built upon service yields the road to a brighter, kinder world. All right, Linda, it's
Exciting.
good to have you here today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So I guess I'll go ahead and start with the first question. Can you share your personal journey and how it has shaped your understanding of women's confidence?
So, contrary to popular belief, I have not always been a confident person. And typically, when you're told about confidence as a young woman, you're told to fake it till you make it. But the reality of confidence is you can fake it all you want, but until you believe that you are confident in your own abilities, you're never going to be a confident person. So, it really forces you to shift the narrative of do other people like me or do I like other people?
Hmm. Yeah, that's good. In your experience, what are some common barriers that women face when it comes to building their confidence?
I think one of the most common barriers that women face has got to be social media and what we see as young women. And, our mothers also project that onto us. As somebody who is in the
Hmm.
education system, it actually forced me to shift the words that I said about myself because there were a lot of days that I went into my classroom and I thought, I really don't look that great today, or my hair is messed up. But I had so many little ones around me, so many young women who are watching me, that I had to say, you know what? I look great today, and so do you. And it really shifts young women's viewpoints from looking up at their mothers and seeing that they're dissatisfied with their appearance to seeing that my mom is a confident person, so I'm going to be confident. So it's really a matter of it's no longer just about you, it's also about the next generation and what you're teaching them.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, because the temptation and the trap is always to like just have the focus on self versus, like the people around us and those we were called to impact. And yeah, that's a really good point. And this next question is, what strategies or practices do you recommend for women to cultivate self-confidence in their personal and professional lives?
I would say one of the biggest ways to cultivate self-confidence is honestly just to wake up in the morning and talk to yourself in the mirror. To do like those positive affirmations that you do look good today, that you do like the body that you're in, that you are going to have a great day. Because when you believe it, other people are also going to believe it, as I just stated in a previous point. I would also argue that dressing the way that you want to dress as your most forward piece of expression is also going to help. So, go out and buy that outfit that makes you feel a little more confident. Go out and wear that lipstick that you like a little bit more. Because if you really like yourself, other people are also going to like you because they see that you're being authentic.
Mm. Yeah, not worrying about what other people say, because sometimes whenever you step out into that, like the person you want to become, like there are those that saw you before and will try to, like speak and be like, okay, like try to keep you in the box that you're striving to get out of.
Absolutely. And this is probably going a little bit out of the realm of questions, but I actually applied to two Ivy Leagues. I applied to Dartmouth and Harvard, and I got into both. And I am pursuing a career in the military come August 4th. I'm actually going to the Marine Corps. And that is such like an insane thing to hear for a young woman from a small town like Pageland, South Carolina. Oh, you want to study signals intelligence, you want to be a military lawyer during your second enlistment, but you're from such a small town and there's so much violence that goes around here. So how do you really think that you're going to break yourself out of that? And there were so many times that while I was a student in school, that there were a lot of people who didn't like me because of the way that I expressed myself and the way that I dressed to impress, because they thought that I was quote unquote doing too much. But you really have to frame how you want your future to plan out. And that starts with being confident in yourself and being confident in your abilities and being confident to tell people that it really doesn't matter what they think of you because you like you as a person.
Yeah, because that sometimes is the hardest thing is the opinions of others, and whenever you finally step out, it's all like you want to do this, and then you've got the people, even sometimes your family members, right there, saying, "Oh, like yeah, like Linda was saying, you're doing too much," or yeah, and then just yeah, that
And I'm
it's
also
just listening. Mm.
absolutely. I'm also a woman of color, so it's a little bit different that, I never fed in to either my mom's family or my dad's family. And there are a lot of women that struggle with that too, because it's one thing to be a woman and push the narrative, it's another thing to be a woman of color and to push that narrative. Because it's like, oh, you really think that you can compete with men or you can compete with people who have been in this career or this field longer than you have. But the reality of the situation is, if you work hard enough, it's no longer competing. You are in that same realm and you will end up surpassing them. But you have to work hard at what you want to do and what you want to succeed.
Indeed. This next question is about role models. How important do you think role models are in boosting women's confidence? And can you give examples of role models who have inspired you?
Absolutely. When young women see someone on the TV, right? We just talked about social media and how there's a lot of this toxic narrative that it changes every 10 years of women being more voluptuous or women being paper thin. And it's constantly changing for young women to the point where it's so unattainable that we do have to have positive role models for young women who are confident in their bodies, no matter how they change, who are confident in their personalities and in the way that they speak and whatnot. I would say that if I had named just a few positive role models for me, Hannah McGuire. She was actually my choir teacher for 2 years at Central. She's the arts coordinator at the district now. And she was always very unapologetic in her quirky ways, as she called them. I would also say that Mother Teresa is another good female role model. Now, that's a little bit of an older one, but if
Mm.
we're getting into the faith aspect, she was confident in her modesty, which I think is also important in this day and age. That we push the narrative that we tell young women that in order for them to be attractive or for them to be confident, they have to show a lot of skin. And the reality of the situation is that it's not that. Now, that's not to say that women who do show skin are any less confident or are any less feminine, but it's just a matter of knowing that that part of you doesn't necessarily make you a woman or not make you a woman. And then on another note, I think of myself as a role model with my students and the young women that I teach. And I see a lot of myself in them as well. So if you do not have a positive role model, you can be the change that you want to see in the world and you can be that positive role model because you're always going to be teaching someone something, even if it's what not to do, and you're always going to be learning something from someone else. So if there was a woman who was not necessarily so nice to you when you were growing up, you have the free will to not be like that to other young women. You have the free will to be the light that you want to see in the world, to give them the guidance that they need, to take them under your wing and shoulder them from a lot of the hardships that you dealt with.
Yeah, that's a good point. Being the change you want to see. Yeah, that's a powerful one right there. All right. This next question is impact of society. How do societal expectations and cultural norms influence women's confidence, and what can be done to challenge these norms?
Okay. So I did touch on this just a little bit before
Hmm.
in some of the previous questions about how society pushes this narrative for women to be exposed in a way, emotionally or physically. But in order to shift that narrative, you have to, again, reach into your own femininity and your own confidence and decide, okay, this might be what society deems normal, but my morals are not going to allow me to do this. So I'm going to turn away from that. There is a lot of toxicity in the media, as I said before. And I mean, every time that you're scrolling on your phone, and especially during the summertime, and even Love Island, which is a very popular show, that there are a lot of young women on there that are petite or voluptuous or who have had plastic surgery. And so I think that it's really unfair to tell young women that they need to look a certain way when the women who are pushing that narrative have had enhancements and they're not very forthcoming about that. So I think that in order to shift that, it is our job as mothers, as sisters, as just older women in the community to teach our younger sisters that they are beautiful in the way that they are, and plastic surgery is not going to make that much of a difference. And whether a man likes you or doesn't like you, is also not going to make much of a difference because you have to like you first. And I think that there are a lot of young women who go out and they search that in relationships. But if you don't have that inside yourself first, you're never going to find it.
Yeah. And like, because a lot of those surgeries are, can be dangerous, and the side effects, like they don't even tell that side of the story, and like the negative effects like at post surgery and stuff like that. Like, yeah, like they're just showing like a certain like standard and not showing you like the whole story or side of it.
Of behind the scenes.
Hmm.
And that's really the drawback. I would say, and I'm a pageant girl myself. You know, my title was Miss Volunteer. As you said, I spanned over 1,500 hours of community service during my last 4 years in high school. And there were a lot of young women that I was in competition with who got a lot of spray tans. And I mean, even some of them had nose jobs or plastic surgery. And it really took a drawback on their mental health because physically you may think that you look the way that you want to, but once you start, it's never enough. You start looking at what else is imperfect with me? What else do I need to fix? And when we shift that narrative of, again, what do other people think of me versus what do I think of other people? It's really going to change that.
Mm, that's powerful. This is similar to the like one of the previous questions. What role does mentorship play in developing confidence among women, and how can women effectively seek out mentors?
So in education, we call them marigolds, right? And marigolds, if you don't know and you're not a gardener, they actually take in the toxic negativity and they kind of transition it. And they can grow in some of the most unconventional places.
Mm,
And there are a lot of young women who maybe don't have a positive female role model. And so you could really find a marigold almost anywhere. I mean, you can find them in church or you can find them in the grocery store. Maybe it's a woman who just smiled at you or held the door open for you. But 9 times out of 10, if you seek someone out, they're going to help you. if you say to an older woman or a school teacher or someone who's in the church, hey, I really need help with this. I don't know what to do. I don't really have a mom or a sister to help me out with this. They're going to help you. And that also makes them feel fulfilled as well because it's nice to see that someone seeks you out and someone does care about your opinion. And I mean, I'm always open to questions if anyone needs me or needs any mentorship or help with school or whatnot. So I can give you my contact information and we can distribute it that way as well.
Okay, that's great. And this last question is advice for young women. Like, what key piece of advice would you give to young women who are just starting to navigate their careers or personal lives in terms of building confidence?
Again, I would say the most powerful thing for me was shifting from do I like other people versus do they like me? Because once you shift that narrative, it really changes the way that you feel about yourself. I would say in your careers, some of you will go into male dominated fields. And it's important to know that it's not going to be any easier for you. If anything, it's going to be a lot harder. But that doesn't mean that you're not capable of it. If you commit to something and you commit to your mind over matter, then you can do it. But you have to commit to it in your headspace. Because if you are not willing to do it here and you're not willing to do it here, then it's not going to be possible for you. I would say in terms of confidence, again, buy that outfit that you like, wear that thing that you like, go where you like, eat what you like, and really stop thinking about what the media says. I mean, and I've had so many individuals who come up to me and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I need to lose weight. I should go have a salad." A bowl of salad or a couple of French fries isn't really going to make much of a difference. So if you are attaining your self-worth to how small you are, that is something that also needs to change because you're going to change and you're going to grow as you progress. And it's really important to love yourself in every stage. In terms of your career, just ensure that you're being kind to everyone and that you're treating people the way that you want to be treated, even if they don't treat you the way that you want to be treated. Because an eye for an eye really makes the world go blind. And if we all went back and forth with one another, no one would help anyone. So just be that change in the world that you want to see, be that light to somebody else's day. You know, smile, open the door for someone, be kind, laugh, learn something. And I think that you'll go very far.
Thank you, Linda. This interview has been amazing. Do you have any final thoughts or anything you'd like to say?
It has been such an honor to do this interview today. Actually, when you reached out to me and you said that I had been recommended by some of the people in my community, I was kind of astounded. I mean, I have done a lot of work within the community in terms of community service, and I've done a few pageants, but this was really life changing for me. And I feel like this was like the positive affirmation that I needed to go forth with my military career, which is actually taking off in August. So fingers crossed with that. And I can actually give you guys my mailing address. So if anybody wants to send me letters in boot camp, I'd be more than willing to reach out. And just remember as women that we have to stick together and try to be kind to one another and understanding.
Because the world is better when people are working together versus all fighting each other. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Collaboration over competition.
And that goes back to that educational quote that we really have to foster the younger minds of our generation. And a lot of times with older women, you'll see, well, back in my day, nobody gave me anything. And that's okay that you didn't have anyone to give you that, but you now have the opportunity to give back and to also heal that young woman who necessarily didn't get someone to give her a hand up instead of a handout. You know, she didn't get somebody to take her under her wing and explain to her the difficulties of life that she is going to have to learn the hard way because nobody kind of gave her that forewarning sign.
Okay. So we are at time, guys. This has been an amazing interview. Thank you, Linda, for being on the show here. And
Have a day.
have a nice day, ladies. All right.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Hello, ladies. Today on the Feminine Confidence Conference, I am your host, Simeon Little, and I have with me Joy Johannes. Joy is a transformation coach, speaker, and entrepreneur with 25 plus years of experience, empowering people to break out of their norms and unlock uh, their greatness to live a life they love. Joy is committed to calling out the greatness in you and standing with you until you see it yourself. Whether teaching from a stage or walking alongside someone in the trenches, she lives to see people rise, get unstuck, and step fully into the life they were created for. Joy's vision is to create a community of people radically ready to change their world. It's good to have you on here, Joy.
Thank you. Excuse me.
All right, let me go ahead and get into the questions. All right, so can you share your personal journey and how it has shaped your understanding of women's confidence?
Gosh. So my personal journey, um, I grew up in a family with three other people that were all leaders, and I was a leader also. So I was kind of the youngest and the littlest, and really was not allowed to have an opinion, not allowed to, just I had to do what everybody else told me to, right? And the way I was really wired from birth is as a leader. And so until I was probably in college, I just was shy. I kept to myself. Um, and then once I went into college, I really started finding who I was. And yeah, but I also went through a time where it was it was really trying to find my value. And I was in school and I would call when I was in school, I would call my parents like on the weekend, and my dad was highly critical and never really said anything good. So I would win awards and all kinds of stuff, and then he'd say, "Well, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard." So I never really had anybody backing me, and really sewing into me as a human being. And as I said, like I love letting people know we all have greatness within us. And so it took quite a few years, but I ended up out of college, had a great, job. Was a fashion designer for a while, 7 years, and then ended up with an inner city children's ministry. And I absolutely was my sweet spot. I loved doing it. Did that for 12 years and then ended up working in humanitarian aid all over the world. So I really figured out who I was, what wired me, how I was wired from birth, and then also what motivated me. And what motivates me is helping people, helping hurting people, helping people in need. And I'm also a leader. So I gather people together to help people in need. So, how I ended up here, probably 20 years ago, I took a transformation class and it completely changed everything for me. Um, and what I realized in the class was that I spent my life doing and taking care of people that were in need or people that I thought they needed something, and I put myself last. And I know a lot of you can relate to that, right? Where you're just giving and giving and giving. And I just realized I would give even when people didn't ask because I felt like they needed it. And I stopped in that moment and I said, I'm going to really follow God. Really, my journey is a God journey. But if I do something for somebody else and Simeon's supposed to be the one to do it, because he has a blessing in it, then I just stole his blessing. And so I really started taking care of myself, learning how to be balanced, learning how to hear God clearly and to walk in that peace and really what my value was.
Mm. That's yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, the next question is barriers to confidence. In your experience, what are some common barriers that women face when it comes to building their confidence?
Um, the biggest ones that I see is that I'm not enough. I don't know enough yet. How can I do that? Um, not, or the other one I hear a lot in my coaching is I'm all alone. It's just up to me. It's just, I've got to do it myself. And I can't rely on anybody else. And that's just not true. We're wired. I believe that we're wired to be in community. We're wired to walk together. And, as far as my business, walk together in our greatness because your greatness is so different than mine. And I never had children and never really wanted children. And, the moms out there that are incredible that have done, mothering is not for the faint of heart. I'm able to be there. And like when I had my children's ministry, I would take the kids of the moms that were stressed out and I would take them for the day and take them to the pool, take them to the mall, take them wherever. And so, to just learn to be in that giftedness, in your own giftedness and be in service to the world and be in service to others. Because even when you're down and out and you're having a hard time, um, just reaching out or saying, hey, I just need to talk, or hey, I'm in a hard season. We just need those people around us.
Yeah, because power is in community. Hmm.
Yep. Yep.
The next is empowerment strategies. What strategies or practices do you recommend for women to cultivate self-confidence in their personal or professional lives?
Mm. So there's a transformation method that we use in most transformation, but um, I guess I'll start by saying there's a difference between being shame-based and not being shame-based. And shame-based is I'm not a good person. I did this wrong and I knew, there I'm just not worth anything. Right? And the other is the healthy version of that is I am a good person. I am valuable. I am loved, and I did something wrong, right? And so the strategy, that's first and foremost, because if you're always stuck in, I did something wrong, said something wrong, went to the wrong place, you're going to constantly be in shame, right? And so first, know you're loved because a lot of people, I went through being suicidal for years. I mean, like 40 years. It was tough. And just recently, um, in the last 4 or 5 years, haven't struggled with that at all. It's taken a long time, but um, in that you tend to isolate and I didn't see my value. Um, but yet when I came through that and I came through the other side, I realized how many people actually loved me. So I think that's a real message for women is that there's a lot of people around you that love you that maybe you don't even see. But if you're sick and in the hospital or you need something, they would be there. Sometimes we have to ask for it because they're not always just gonna know, right? And so the method that we use is the difference between being and doing. So not being shame-based is I'm a human being and I have value versus I did something that's doing, right? And so um let's say I'm indecisive and I can't make a decision, I'm not sure which way to go, and I just get stuck in that mindset. If I make a decision, it might be wrong. I don't want to have ramifications, blah, blah, blah. So if you stop in that moment and you say, what way of being am I being? I'm being indecisive. I'm being a lot of times being safe. I'm being safe in the concept of I'm playing small. I'm going to stay comfortable. So I'm going to stay stuck in this place of I don't know and I don't want to take a step. But the reality is, so you would say, I give up being uncertain and I am the possibility of being, and you just choose a different way of being. And you speak it out loud. And when you speak it, you begin being that way. It's so awesome. And this is why I love transformation. So I give up being uncertain and I'm the possibility of being decisive, of being confident, of being powerful. I'm going to give up being insecure. And I'm going to create the possibility of being loved. So it's a real simple concept, but it's super powerful.
Yeah, indeed. The ways of being are powerful.
And if you think about it, you have opportunities like in this moment right now, and in this moment right now, and in this moment right now. Because in this moment, I might be like, oh, see, all the things that I was told growing up, I can't do this. And then you have a moment. And 5 minutes from now, I might have another moment where I get discouraged. And I just every moment you get to make decisions. Are you going to listen to that negative self-talk? Or are you going to give up that way of being and create something new? So it's not just like, okay, I'll do it in the morning and all day it'll be like that. Right?
Mhm. The next question is role models. How important do you think role models are in boosting women's confidence? And can you give examples of role models who have inspired you?
Oh, absolutely. I think again that comes back to being alone and doing things alone versus not only having a role model, but like a mentor or somebody that you can talk to that's kind of already been through it. And I found when I kind of started on this journey that I was intimidated by people that had already done it or done what I was up to. But yet I was open and teachable. And I think that's really important because sometimes we just get stuck and we feel like we're never going to get out of this scenario or never get out of this relationship or never get out of the same conversation over and over with this person or with my family, right? But but to have somebody to talk to, especially women, because we process through talking, um, when we have that person, we can say, "Hey, I'm going through this right now. What are your thoughts? How would you handle this? Do you have any suggestions? What are you hearing from God on this?" And to have that, you know, have you experienced this before? What would you suggest that I do? And then you can do it or not do it. You don't have to do what they're saying, but you do have your heart open and your mind open to be teachable, right? And so I'm a firm believer in we all have choices, just like you choose how you're being, right? And so it's not like somebody's going to dictate to you with a role model. But my biggest role model, honestly, was Mother Teresa. Um, and if you ever get a chance to read her diaries and her writings, she struggled. She struggled all the time with faith, with her relationship with God, with the work she was doing. And I was like, wow, she was just like me, but she still did this incredible thing. And that's why she was really a role model to me because I could see myself in her writings.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had one woman in particular, actually one woman and then a husband and wife that were, the way I describe it is they saw the real me, which is how I describe, they saw my greatness. They saw how I was different and what I had to offer the world. And they were always available to me if I needed to talk, you know, and they always gave wise wisdom. Um, that set me really a lot of times it's not just giving you advice on where to go, but it resonates with what's already in your heart. And you can go, okay, I'm on the right path. I'm on the right path. I just got to get through this season. And I think I'll jump in here also and say my first marriage, I'm married now, but my first marriage was I married somebody in the church, and a week after we were married, he began beating me and beating me severely. And I was shocked. And then he would speak in the pulpit. You know, he'd beat me at home and then speak in the pulpit. And it was horrible. And for those women that are out there that are in abusive relationships, that are in relationships where, I don't think he should be talking to me like that. I don't think he should be treating me like that. This is not healthy. Um, have the boldness to step out of that, have the boldness to go find some safe people. I had two safe houses that I went to that my ex-husband did not know the people, so he couldn't find me. And they really helped me through that time. So don't do it alone. Don't do it alone. Yeah.
That's powerful advice.
Yeah.
All right, the next question is impact of society. How do societal expectations and cultural norms influence women's confidence? And what can be done to challenge these norms?
Ugh. Change musicians dress code. Um, some really famous musicians just started dressing more and more and more sleazy and more like they were in a bedroom rather than on a stage performing. And I think from that, it's just become norm for people to wear lingerie out.
Mm.
And it's just not good. I see so many young people with, their dress that goes right, and especially women right below their butt, and what do you, I mean, you're already speaking it, and yes, you probably look cute, but if it was 5 inches longer or 10 inches longer, you'd still be just as cute. You'd still be just as beautiful, but you may not, for me, that entices and expects men towards rape, bottom line.
Mm.
And I know that's a bold statement, but you can be sexy, you can be cute, you can be attractive on the outside and the inside and not look like you're in the bedroom or you're a prostitute. And I sound like I sound like I'm an old woman and I've got these standards, but I think that's been the biggest thing. And to see these little 4 or 5 year old little
Mm.
kids that are dressing that way is just, it blows my mind. Blows my mind that people think that that's just normal and that's just okay. But you're also projecting, society is projecting on women. And on top of that, and you better look like this if you're going to be accepted and you're going to get a man or you're going to get a boyfriend or you're going to get whatever, because you can't get it other ways. You can't get it being beautiful on the inside and out. And there's several examples of people, even young people that are Christians or that have morals that don't dress like that have gotten amazing men. So really, that's one of the things where, how you dress, how you present yourself is the kind of person you're going to attract, right? And um, I actually prayed. I said, God, would you please make me beautiful on the inside and out? And I know it sounds weird, but he truly did. And I didn't know I was beautiful on the inside or the outside. Um, and now I feel beautiful on both. And so it's possible because we all have value.
Mm. That's beautiful. All right, last question. What advice for young women? What key piece of advice would you give to young women who are just starting to navigate their careers or personal lives in terms of building confidence?
Whew. Um, You know, there's there's different like personality tests you can take. So, and I'll just talk about a couple of them that I do. So I do the spiritual gifts test, which is the gifts that you were born with or your strengths, right? And so I have that on my website, and we'll give you guys the website. But the spiritual gifts, what I learned through that was who I am and who I'm not. So my mom loves hospitality and loves to have people at the house, and that's a gift. I don't have that gift. Um, I I speak, I inspire, I do good in the world, and and that's what I do. And I love speaking. I love being in front of crowds. I said to my mom, "Can you imagine you standing in front of a crowd speaking to 100 people?" And she said, "Oh, I would hate it." And I said, "That's how I feel about hospitality." Right? And so we're kind of trained to not only do your strengths, but work on your weaknesses. And it's not true. Know who you are, figure out, if you want to do the spiritual gifts test, then I circle back around and explain it a little further to you, give you some materials on it. And I love that there's and then I also do motivational. So there's 7 things that motivate you in life, and every human being has 2 of them. And so my motivation is mercy motivated, which is helping hurting people. I love to be out with the homeless. I love helping people get food, mattresses, whatever they need. Somebody died in their family. Let's raise some funds to help bury them. Things like that. My husband is not like that at all. He has a motivation of giving. And so he will say, I'll take on an extra shift at work and I'll give you that money and you can go buy coats for the homeless and take it to that ministry and go do it with them. And so when you understand really like in the beginning, I was frustrated. I'm like, come on, let's go do this. And he's like, no, because they didn't motivate him, but it motivated him to work. It doesn't motivate me to work. I want to go be with people. And so the motivation thing is also really important because um, maybe you're in a career or you're in a job where you just feel stuck or, is this really right for me? When you take the motivational gifts test, you're going to know, there, and I'll tell you the 7. So there's mercy motivated, helping people. There's ruling, which are leaders that gather people together to meet needs. Then there's encouragement, teachers, giving, exhorting or lifting up, and then prophetic, prophecy. And the prophecy people are usually justice. This is an injustice. The world is black and white, right or wrong. Why aren't you doing what's right? And so, um, when you know that and you put that with your spiritual gifts, it really gives you a clear direction of what you should do in your company, where you should be placed within your team, right? And so then you can also then go to your supervisors or go to people, even go to your family and say, "Hey, I just took this test and this is what I realized about myself," right? And so I think that's super helpful. And then the other thing that I do that excites me, I have something called the accelerated transformation method. And what happens in less than an hour, I collapse, I have a conversation with you, and I ask you questions. And in that time, you collapse years of patterns and beliefs down to one single moment. And in that moment, you realize what's limited you your entire life. And it's awesome because you uncover it through my questions and leading you. And then you can then break it, and the sky's the limit. Now you have to keep practicing breaking it until you get, really comfortable with that. But I find, you know, 90-year-olds have done this and they're like, wow, that is the one thing. And it's not like any other method that's out there. And so when you put spiritual, this is what I'm born with, this is what motivates me, this is what limits me, that's possibility. And that's what I'm all about. So, and the last thing I just want to say too is my free gift to everybody is the how to have a win-win conversation with anybody. And it's really using um, the transformation methods. And if you want to like rekindle or I would say recreate a relationship in your family to be different than it is right now, use these steps. It's amazing and powerful. I helped my brother and my family. I actually did this with all of my family members, um, but said, hey, we're still acting like I'm 12 years old, and you're still treating me like I'm 12 years old, and I'm, you know, 40 years old. So I would love to create a brand new relationship with you, adult to adult. And there's some things you walk through, 7 things. And in that, and then you say, would you like to do that with me? And it just absolutely transforms relationships. You can do it in business and negotiations. I'm right, you're wrong. I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, you're right. I'm right. Let's lay that down. And then let's create something new that brings both of them together. And so I'm really excited about you guys having that as well.
That sounds awesome. I definitely need to check out those those
Yeah.
quizzes as well.
And
Yeah.
I wanted to let people know if you want to get in touch with me, I think we're gonna have my website available. Is that right?
Hmm.
And then the link to the gifts. I also wanted to give my phone number at 725-500-8780. If anybody wants to talk further, if you have questions, or if you can't find what you're looking for on the website, I'd love to help you find your greatness.
All right, those are some awesome gifts, Joy.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we are at time, everybody. And this has been an awesome conference. And this wraps it up, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. The comment section is always there for you to put your questions and your comments. We welcome that. And then, of course, the free gifts are there. And man, just have a blessed rest of your lives, you guys, and stay in touch. All
Yes.
right, that's it for this conference. And yeah, like yeah, the sky's the limit from here, and I can't wait to see what's next. All right. So bye, ladies.
Thank you, Simeon.
Thank you, Joy.